Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Do us a huge favor and smash that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Also, check us out on Reddit and Discord, and Blue Sky. Don't forget Blue Sky. And leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
There's a bit of noise going on right now in Bomber Nation. Some folks are upset with Kyle Walters on how some players have been treated recently. Most recently, Drew Wolitarsky was released by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Some of us found out on Instagram early in the morning before the Bombers even released it. Surprised, not surprised? What are your thoughts on that move?
Yeah, it's always tough to see a guy like Wolitarsky get released. I mean, he's been here for 9 years, right? So it does suck. It's rough. But at some point, some of these guys are going to get dropped for younger guys. And Wolitarsky had a bit of a rougher season with injuries last year. Wasn't available as much as as Bombers probably would have liked, and making a good, good coin. He was over 100 grand. So it's tough. I didn't realize that, and maybe it's normal around the league, but there's 4 receivers right there that are making over 100 grand. And at some point, you probably got to make a decision on which ones you can bring back. And we've seen the Bombers go sign Dylan Mitchell currently. So we thought maybe he was replacing Ontario Wilson. Maybe he's replacing Wolitarsky or coming in there. And they still got Dembski. Now you got to figure out what you're going to do with the other guys. But yeah, it sucks. But I think it's necessary at this point, and we're not going to like every move they make.
It is what it is. And what it is business. Like you said, dude had a solid career. He was a great go-to receiver, just like the Jamie Stoddard was, and just like Marcus Howell was, a greedy Canadian that the QB can depend on and hold on to the ball. But I think, and they have Clearseus ready to go. Yeah. Like that kid's at 6'2", 217, very much Wolitarsky type frame. He got just over 300 yards, 350 maybe last year in limited action because he wasn't the starter, and he did do some great filling in. So I think I'm excited to see Clearseus get his chance as a more dependable receiver and give him more of a chance to shine. But yeah, it's hard to see a player like that go, especially one who had ties with the community. But I'm not going to stress too much over it. It was kind of expected in my books.
Yeah, and like you say, Clearseus, when he was in last year, he was reliable. Like Zach Claros was looking to him on some very important downs, kind of like what he did with Wolitarsky, because Wolitarsky at times, the guy would catch everything. Right, it was very rare that he'd drop the ball. He maybe didn't have too many balls thrown his way in a game, but he was there when you needed him, and Clearseus kind of stepped up and did that well. So yeah, I have no issue with the release. It sucks. But yeah, I just, thank him for his time, really, because he was great. He was fantastic to have here in all these years. He was a big part of the Bombers winning and everything like that. So good luck to him, and hopefully he catches on somewhere else.
Clearseus averaged 10.3 yards a gain, a first down per catch. Thoughts on how the Bombers have treated Wolitarsky and Big Hill. So we're kind of, I guess we're probably going to repeat some points here. But as a fan, I think they should be more honest with these guys off the bat. We saw the Bombers sign Tony Jones really quickly. Obviously, he was a priority. So you'd think at that point there would be some open conversations with Big Hill. And it didn't seem like there was. Like, obviously, we don't know. We only know what we see on social media. Maybe there were some conversations with Wolitarsky and Big Hill. But the way things went down and seeing Wolitarsky on social media and him being cut before his bonus was due, it's not surprising that move was made. But you'd think there'd be some conversations earlier on saying, yo, this is a budget and you're probably going to hit the CFL market. And it's good that they're giving him opportunity even before the free agency pre-talking term for them to have opportunities with other teams. That's good. As a management, you want to give your players opportunities to sign somewhere else, but it just doesn't seem like there was an open conversation as early as there could have been.
Yeah, I necessarily no issue with the way Wolitarsky went down, because we don't, like you say, though, we don't know everything about it. Big Hill came out in an article and said the Bombers had not contacted him, did not let him know what was going on. He only found out after he contacted Kyle Walters and asked him what's going on. And at that point, Walters says, you're likely not coming back. We're not re-signing you with you. So I don't necessarily like that way of handling things, especially for a guy of Adam Big Hill's stature in Winnipeg. Signed here, helped them break the curse, the streak, or whatever you want to call it, of Grey Cups, Defensive Player of the Year, leader of that defense for many years. The guy did make roots in Winnipeg and all that. I get it. He's on his last leg, and maybe he'll prove us all wrong next season and he'll sign somewhere. But he's close to being pretty much done. And the Bombers, like you say, Tony Jones, then they signed Kyrie Wilson. They already got Reddick Crowdy. So there's your linebacker, probably your starting linebacker core, right? So the writing was kind of on the wall over right there already. But the way they've handled Big Hill and even Jeffcoat last year without really, these guys have been around. They've been a big part of the team. Maybe just send them a courtesy. They like to talk about family, the Bombers. This is a family, we're a family. But to me, this is not kind of a move a family would make.
Yeah. Was Jeffcoat just last year? Has it only been 1 year?
Yeah. Yeah. Just last year.
It feels like we've not had him forever.
I guess injured quite a bit the year before, right? So maybe that's why it feels like that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do you want to see Janarion Grant in Winnipeg? 10. The lack of ability to flip the field on special teams last year was atrocious. The Bombers' offense had to execute long drive after long drive after long drive. That's enough. Grey Cups at home, no experiments. You know what you're getting with Janarion Grant. Make a push to get him. 10.
Yeah, pretty much. I put 9, just because there is a couple other options in case Mario Alford and Devontae Dedmon are kind of out there as well. But yeah, I would take Janarion Grant because he was the best one, obviously, out of those guys. And from what I remember, last year's contract with Toronto wasn't very big. It was under 100. So I don't know why the Bombers didn't do that at all last year. He's obviously going to cost more because he led the league last year in punt returns, almost 1,000 yards in punt returns, 3 touchdowns on punt returns, 15-yard average on kick returns, and plus another return on the kick returns as well. So yeah, he that was a frustrating thing for the Bombers. Like you say, they could not flip that field. They didn't have, Sheehan's punting wasn't the greatest, and then the other way around, you didn't have a guy that could return that ball more than 10, 15 yards kind of thing, especially on a punt. So yes, they need that, and you show that it did hurt them. Like you say, that starting field position wasn't very good. It was a long way down that field, and at times the Bomber offense obviously sputtered.
Horrible. Oh, it was horrible. I'm going to move to Tyrell Ford before the CFL free agency question. What are the chances Tyrell Ford ends up back in Winnipeg? Go ahead.
Oops, dropped my pen. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I hope it's 100, but I'm going to probably go 50-50. Just because there's options out there. He's still obviously taking NFL dates, doing tryouts and stuff like that. His brother's in Edmonton, signed a long-term deal there, or a few years deal, I guess. So he could end up, maybe I want to go play with my brother. He's going to require a high salary. DeMario Houston, what did he sign for last year? It was about 275. I'm not sure if that was per year or over the 2-year contract. So for me, Tyrell Ford's going to make more money than that. So the Bombers willing to go to 300 for a couple years or something like that. I don't think that's a year. 275 seems high, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, he's going to get more. He's a Canadian. I'd love to have him back. I hope it's 100% back, but I don't have that high hopes.
I'm going to say very good. I'm not going to put a percentage on it. Well, sure, I'll put 70%. The Bombers are great at finding American DBs, but this is a Canadian shutdown corner. This is almost like a unicorn in the CFL. So I think the Bombers will push and push hard to keep him on the roster if he doesn't go to the NFL. What is your bold prediction for CFL free agency?
You know what? I think the wide receiver market is going to be slow. And I think the contracts for wide receivers is going to come down. And maybe this is not a bold prediction at all, but I feel like some of these guys are going to be sitting there for a bit. What's his name just signed? Ottawa, Justin Hardy, right? Just signed, but there was no contract details that I could find. So it'd be interesting to see what one of the top receivers in the league got last year. He's hitting 33 years old. But then you got other guys. You got McInnes, you got Eugene Lewis, Dalton Schoen, Kenny Lawler, Ackland, Dunbar, like a whole list of guys. So there's a lot of guys out there. So almost oversaturating that market. I can't see the Bombers going crazy on wide receiver contracts this year. If they can get Schoen and Lawler for great deals, then okay. But I could see one of them maybe signing and maybe that guy making it around 200. So I think the wide receiver market is going to suffer a bit this free agency.
It's about damn time. 2 years ago, I was saying that this market is ready to collapse with the salaries that were being handed out. It's another thing. It's about time. Players deserve what they deserve, but I think they're finding a lot of young talent to play receiver that can come in and play at a much cheaper rate or salary. I'm surprised that didn't happen last year. Good on Ed Hervey for saying enough is enough.
Yeah.
My bold prediction is Calgary is going to push hard and they're going to get Winston McManus. That dude is a defensive game changer. He's the best in the league when it comes to patrolling the middle of the field and creating game-changing plays when they need him. We saw him step up in the Grey Cup when the Argos needed him to step up. Like, there's a reason why they saw him and optioned out of a lot of running plays. Like, dude is a force. So I can see Calgary pushing hard. If Toronto doesn't sign him, someone else is going to push big money on this guy. He's the best linebacker in the league, and I think Calgary really needs that.
Yeah, and Calgary already made some moves with I'm not gonna say his name properly. The guy from Toronto. Ola.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So they already made that move. They've already signed him too. So
Yeah.
I don't think Toronto's gonna lose everybody on D because they have Serezna as there as well. So I could see them keeping some guys. But yeah, they could get rated. And that's to me where the money should be spent. You know, you're not like the Bombers had that probably the highest paid receiving core. Maybe BC is close there, right? And they did well, but unfortunately, it didn't get you the Grey Cup in the end. It was the defense that won it, right? So to me, that's where the money should be spent in that D line linebacker area.
And I'm sure a part of that, this rotating D line, is how good the Winnipeg offensive line has been over the years.
Yeah.
Bomber fans, put your thoughts below. How do you feel about the Bombers, the way they treated Big Hill and Wolitarsky? Thoughts on Wolitarsky being released? Do you think that Ford will come back? And what's your bold predictions in CFL free agency? Put your comments in the comment section below. Let's move on to some Winnipeg. You know, I'm having this Interlake Brewing Company. Hoppy, have you tried this? Hoppy Pelican.
Yeah, yeah, I actually like it.
That's delicious. Winnipeg beers, man. Winnipeg beers. Let's move on to, if any of you Winnipeg beers want to come on board to Ray and Benny, we got the room at front of Winnipeg Blue Bomber Talk. Get in on that.
Yep.
Hundreds of views. Shoot. Winnipeg Jets Talk brought to you, speaking of promos, by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out in the ice, pavement, field, or in the stands with a custom airbrushed helmet, goalie mask, or any type of project. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431.
And don't forget to tell them that Ray and Betty sent you.
Jets coming off a nice win over the Canadiens tonight. Ehlers and Vilardi contracts are up at the end of the year. Yeah, never mind tonight's game. Let's talk about the end of the year. If you can only keep one, who would it be and why? You can go first.
Yeah, the Jets are rolling 4 in a row since that Arniel ran. So good to see and beating teams below them in the standings.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like both of these guys are probably going to get in the $7 million range, right? They're both having pretty good seasons. They're both projecting to probably end around 70 points each. Vilardi's been a monster on the power play. Ehlers has been eating good on the power play as well. A little less minutes for Ehlers at 5-on-5 this year. Vilardi, he's been him, Scheifele, and Connor have a spark. They have that chemistry, and they're getting it done. So it's hard to pick between these two guys. I'm probably going to go with Ehlers just because he's been here a little bit longer. I'm a bit of an Ehlers fan. I always like to see him do well, and hopefully this is just the beginning of him, getting that point totals up to 70, 80 points. He did miss a few games and consistently hitting that mark. So I'm going to go with him if they had to pick one, but I would hate to lose Vilardi as well. I think it might be tough because then you got Connor coming up next year, the year after, and then you got also Sandberg, who's going to get paid pretty good this offseason as well.
Yeah, this is a tough one, but I'm going to go with my favorite in Vilardi. I love his versatility. I love the fact that he can play down the middle, even though they don't play him down the middle. I love his physicality in and around the net, in the corners. I love his two-way game. He does have injury issues, especially with the lower back. But he does, was he 2-3 years younger than Ehlers? I think Ehlers is 28. He's 25, 26. So I'm going to take him younger going forward and risk losing Ehlers in the speed and dynamic play. Because Vilardi's also a great component on that power play. The way he can keep the puck and hold the puck and then wait for someone to be open. It's hard to choose, man, but I'm gonna go Vilardi.
A lot of the power play stuff too, like Ehlers has set him up quite a bit on those plays as well. The power play is clicking this year with Ehlers finally on that power play one. Like it's way better than last year. It's top of the league. Even though the Jets very rarely get as many or power play opportunities as other teams. I think they're lowest in the league or something, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, Vilardi, the injury stuff. It's great, knock on wood here, that he doesn't get injured, but contract year, he's been having a pretty healthy season, putting up some good numbers. So I don't think the Jets will go wrong with either one of these guys. Hopefully they can keep
No.
both, but it'll be an interesting offseason or the rest of the season to see what they do.
I think the tiny stat that kind of convinced me was Vilardi getting more goals per shots. And that's really being ticky tack right now. Would you bring Brandon Tanev in for the playoffs? Yes. Yes, I would. I love his contract. I love his physicality. I love that he would make the penalty kill automatically better. And that's kind of what the Jets are suffering in right now in regards to special teams. Our power play is what, number one at 33%? And
Yeah.
I think that's like the highest percentage ever recorded since power play has been kept as a stat
Yeah, it's
since the
crazy.
Oilers did 2 years ago or whatever, 32%. So that's insane. And yeah, I'd love to see Brandon Tanev back, and another Jets team picture would be great.
Yeah, I would do it as well. You could probably get him for a pretty good price. He's a free agent after the season, so it's probably nothing beyond this year. But yeah, watching him in that last playoff run with the Jets before he ended up moving away or getting traded, I believe, right to Pittsburgh, I think, right? Anyways, yeah, he was a force and he was a bit of a shit disturber.
Yeah.
And you kind of need that in the playoff. You need a guy that's going to go in the quarters and bang everything they see, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd definitely take him back, even if it meant, yeah, even if it meant, I don't know, Gustafson, who is actually playing pretty well, comes out of that
Yeah.
lineup because his playoffs is it's a different beast.
I don't think we necessarily need him, but I would
No,
take him.
yeah, exactly.
Rasmus Ristolainen on the rumor mill coming to the Jets. Yes or no?
No, that's a heck no for me. I mean, hopefully they stay away. Big dude, all that. He's got the size. But defensively, I don't think he's going to make the Jets much better. Well, like, maybe if you take out Logan Stanley, but other than that, his defensive game for Ristolainen isn't the greatest, and he's a bit of a liability back there for the most part. And then he still has one more year at 5.1. So that contract, unless the Flyers were to eat some of it, I would not
Yes.
want that 5.1 next year.
I'd say definitely yes. A right-handed defenseman with that size playing in that system. The contract that you say isn't very appealing at 5.1, but let the Flyers take term. He still has what 2-3 years left on this deal.
No, just
Definitely.
one more after this.
Well, there you go. Definite upgrade over Stanley. So that doesn't even hurt as much then to 2-3 years. More reliable on his end than Stanley. Would definitely play in the bottom four or the bottom pairing totally. So yeah, I do it with what the defense is. Sure, they can find someone better, but that's not the question. The question is about Restline, and yes, I would take him if term is taken. Eaton. Would you give up a player, prospect, and a pick if either Marchand or Malkin were available? I said depends on the prospect. I do a deal with Hey Nolan or Lambert, sure. If they want Colby Barlow, hell to the no. So it really depends on the prospect. Picks, sure, at this point, go for it. The window is going to be small for this core, I believe. So yeah, I'm going in with one of those two, depending on the
Yeah.
prospect.
Yeah, I'd take them both. Both centers, both have played well, obviously, in the playoffs before. Marchand's that shit disturber kind of guy again, like we just talked about. Tanev that you kind of want.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. Obviously, you hate him when he's on another team, but you'll enjoy him when he's on yours. I'd be willing to possibly throw in Barlow for one of these guys. I probably wouldn't throw in a high pick on top of that. But one of these guys obviously upgrades your second line center position quite a bit, right? And to me, makes you more of a contender bringing these guys in. I know both aren't having the greatest of seasons, and Malkin's currently injured right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to see a move like this if you can do it.
Colby Barlow you throw in there, eh?
I would, I would. I wouldn't want to lose a guy, but I think these guys can actually put the Jets over the edge.
Hmm. Winnipeg Jets fans, put your thoughts in the comment section below. Benny, do you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and follow, and have a good week.
Man, look at the clock. This episode was short and sweet, so enjoy it. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. And in the famous words of LeVar Burton, we'll see you next time. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.